I'm Amber Davies and welcome to Call to Stage. This is the space where musical theatre takes centre stage. From unforgettable backstage stories with incredible special guests to insights from my life and my theatre journey. We're leaving it all on the mic every single week, so let's jump in. Hi guys, welcome back to Call to Stage with me, Amber Davies. I have the most stunning woman sitting next to me. Honestly, when you walked in, I was like, it's
Silly.
the
Look at you.
wonderful Clare Foster.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Oh.
I'm so excited to be here.
Dobbs texts me.
Yeah.
So Richard
Oh,
Darborn
God.
is Clare's current producer, or one of.
Yeah.
And he's produced a couple of my shows before, and he was like, you must get Clare on. She's
Aw,
amazing.
That's lovely. He's amazing. He's honestly the best.
Well, the next time he comes in, tell him from me his speeches are awful.
Okay.
It's a running theme.
Okay, cool.
Every
Okay.
time he came in and did
Going
a
in dry with
speech,
that is kind of a bit...
just go in dry.
Okay, great.
He'll love it.
I've got a note for you. Your speeches are dreadful.
Yeah, or work on your speeches. That's
Okay.
Amber.
Okay, cool.
Because he used to come in and after his speeches, he used to look at me in the circle and he used to go,
I actually really love his speech. I mean, they go on for ages, but they're really enthusiastic.
they're really enthusiastic, but there's no like point,
Oh,
you know? There's no point to it.
okay.
So he needs to work on
Okay,
that.
cool.
Anyway.
Note taken.
So Claire's currently playing Aloan in The Curious Case of Benjamin Button, which I saw.
I know you did. You came really early, didn't you?
Oh my gosh.
Crazy early. Yeah.
I think I came to your like second or third preview.
I know. What were you doing? That's
Claire,
cool.
Claire, it's the best thing I've ever seen.
Oh,
I could even cry now just thinking about it. It was the best show I've ever seen.
oh, that's so lovely to hear.
And I just wanted to scream it from the rooftop, like, please go and see it.
oh,
like,
that's
it's-
so generous. Thank you. Well, I mean, I'm a tiny part of it, but it's
You're not
beautiful.
a tiny part.
But it's as a sort of theme, it's an incredible, epic, beautiful show.
For someone who's in the industry, watching it and seeing, we're always so impressed with like great vocals or a great, dance break.
Yeah.
But it was the fact that the people on stage were also playing instruments.
Yeah, they're phenomenal.
Claire, it blew my mind.
Yeah, mine too. Every day, I literally just I feel like I've won a competition. I literally just hear like different, a different violin moment or a double bass or something, and you're just there going, I don't understand how I'm here. Like they're magic.
It takes your breath away.
Yeah.
It does, because then they're acting and then and then they sit, and I'm just like, that is triple threat.
Yeah.
If there ever was that triple threat,
Yeah.
it's
Nonsense word, but yeah.
that.
Yeah,
It
I
is
agree.
that.
Yeah.
I've never seen more talented group of people together.
Yeah.
And you all love each other so much.
We do. It's really sickening, but very true. Yeah. They're really
You can tell.
Mm.
I could feel the love from the stage.
Oh, that's great.
It was honestly like I and you were phenomenal.
Thank you.
And you were just like, sorry, I will let Claire speak in a minute, but
No,
I
it's
just need to
great.
get my opinion out, because honestly it is the best musical I've ever seen. You're like painfully beautiful on stage.
That's a really beautiful thing to say. Thank you. Thank you.
I did see you play the piano at one point.
Yes, and the tambourine, Amber.
And the tambourine.
I don't know
Did
why
you do-
Dan is laughing behind the camera. Like it's a very highly skilled. It's an asterisk on my spotlight now.
Is it?
It's not. Yeah, I learned the piano for this show because I didn't play. I mean, I loosely played now, but
I saw you there.
Yeah, I'm there. Like, and I've got better.
I love that.
Yeah,
New
no.
skill.
I know, new skill.
And did I see you doing the...
What's that? A drum?
No.
No, just a
It's-
tambourine.
Is it just a
unfortunately.
tambourine?
Yeah.
Someone had like a maraca. Maraca.
I don't think there's a maraca in the show.
Oh,
No.
okay.
You could do that.
From the audience.
Yeah. You could come with a maraca next time.
Auditioning for that show, when it came through into your inbox, I'm doing this whole thing backwards because I just want to talk about the show so much.
Okay,
But
great.
when your agent called, thought process.
Okay, so talking to Dobbs, that was the first port of call actually. So I worked with Dobbs. My last musical was 10 years ago, Guys and Dolls at Chichester, and he was one of our producers on that.
Okay.
And it sort of happened simultaneously. Call from my agent, call from text from Darbs, and Darbs was like, I love telling the story because it sort of sums us up. 10 years down the line, he's like, listen, Curious Case of Benjamin Button's coming in. I want you to come in for it. I think his words were, it's big heart, high stakes. You eat that shit for breakfast.
Oh.
And I was like, cool. I don't really know anything about it. I hear it's great.
Had you seen the film?
No, still haven't seen the film.
Claire?
I know.
It's an iconic one.
Well, I hear it's really different. So
It is different.
And also, you know what it's like. You don't really want to have someone else's interpretation sort of going in, really. And I didn't know how different it was. The only thing that is the same is the kernel of the premise of him aging backwards.
Yeah, that's it. That's literally it.
Yeah, it's set in Cornwall. It's an actor-musician show. It's completely different story and love story, certainly from the short story, which I've read. In the short story, she gets to 40 and he leaves her because she's too old. I mean, it couldn't be more unromantic and horrid.
Hell.
I know, it's grim.
Hi, John.
It's not John's fault. Yeah, so after I got the message from Darbs, my agent called and was like, this has come in.
Mm-hmm.
I think it would be good. Ginny Schiller, who cast me in my first ever Juve lead at Chichester, full circle, was casting.
Wow.
Incredible woman. Have you ever auditioned for her? Gosh, she's amazing. She just puts everyone at ease. She comes out and talks to, it's all the way that it should be done.
Yeah.
She comes out and talks to you first. She sees like what kind of mood they're in, where you're at, puts you at ease,
Treats you like a human being.
Yeah, she's magic. So yeah, came in. Jethro had no shoes on, which was like my first impression, which when you know Jethro, he's always in shorts and flip-flops. That's like his uniform of life. And I remember sort of being sidetracked by that slightly. There was no talk about playing an instrument at all. So that was a shock after I got the job. John had been announced the day before, so he was in my casting.
Oh.
So that's the first time I met him. Who was, as he is, a delight and supportive and giving and
also like mesmerizing when he speaks. Like as in,
is he?
Yeah.
I mean,
I
he's
was
great,
like a puppy around him.
Aww.
I was like, tell me everything you know about this industry.
Oh,
and he was like doing things, what he did on camera. And I was just like,
for what?
For like a film that he's done.
Okay.
He was like, well, this is what I'd do differently. And I was like, I'm obsessed with you.
Yeah, he's pretty special.
So when you walked into the audition room, was it like, I got a good feeling?
You know what? It sort of was, but you can never tell, can you? I think the only thing that I can ever feel confident about is like when I read something, I go, I know how to do this. Like they're the jobs that resonate with me the most are the ones that seem to sort of come to me. And sometimes you read a script and you're like, there are people that are going to do this better, and they should go do it. You know, it should go to the people that it sort of is most in tune with. I think so. I had that.
That's so self-aware.
Well, I think that's. I think you know. I guess when you've been doing it a long time, you sort of just you feel that, you know, and you kind of go, "This is in my ballpark, and that's in Lucy Jones's ballpark, or you know, whatever it might be."
I feel you, girl.
Yeah,
I feel you,
and that's how there's space for everyone, you know, because you just go like, that's how it should work.
And you mentioned earlier it'd been a decade since your last job.
Yeah,
was that break intentional?
Yeah, it was. I've had 2 like breaks from musicals, really. So the last one, I think, was after Merrily.
Mm-hmm.
No, sorry, before Merrily. So after Avenue Q, which was 18 years ago. Terrifying.
Iconic, though.
Iconic. After that, I was a bit like, someone actually around that time was like, you should go and do some telly. And I was like, well, we all want to do telly, but how do we sort of do that? And then I went into the Bill for a year and a half. Mm-hmm. That was my sort of first baptism of fire, really, into telly work, which is great.
Another iconic moment for Clare.
Thanks. Yeah, playing PC Millie Brown. So did that and sort of learnt the ropes of telly stuff, and then did some other like straight stuff, which was like a game changer. And then came back to Crazy for You at Regent's Park. That was like my tiptoeing back into musicals. And then did like Finding Neverland, Merrily. Then Guys and Dolls actually, and then decided to sort of go back into the play world a little bit.
But I love that you can just like tap in and out of it.
Well, it's all luck, it's
And talent.
lots of people, but loads of people have talent. Everyone has talent, really. It's honestly about people that take chances on you and see something in you that, or landing the right thing. What I just said about landing the right thing at the right time, that you fit with that role in that specific moment.
Yeah.
So much of it is just chance, and there's loads of really fucking great people.
I know.
It's just whether you fit the bill.
The bill.
Hey!
Dun 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 dun. As a Lowen,
Yeah.
have you got any quirky pre-show rituals?
I don't think so. I actually try and get out of rituals because I think they can get you stuck into fear mode.
Yeah.
So that thing of going like, there was a time when I can't believe I'm going to say this.
Say it.
But I was a bit like, I sort of felt like my superpower was in curling my hair. If I didn't curl my hair, that I was like not going to have a good show.
Okay.
And then I was a bit like, get the fuck out of that now. And then I'd be like, if my plait is on the wrong side. And then I was a bit like, so every show I actually try and actively do something different so that I'm not into those things. Yeah.
That's good. Because you can become obsessed.
I think so, yeah.
It's
and
like
I think
I always have to have a certain sweet
Uh-huh.
in my mouth. Otherwise, I'm never going to sing that high note.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
It's not ridiculous because particularly for something vocally, like that is also having an effect on like your saliva, on your, so I think there's logic to that.
But it's about breaking out the habit.
I think so, yeah. Or just going, I'm going to just try this without the sweet. And well, what do you know? It worked fine.
Yeah. No one died.
No one died. And also that's like an ongoing thing for me to just be like, what's the worst that can happen?
Yeah. So basically your pre-show ritual is to not have a pre-show ritual.
Kinda.
I actually think that's the first we've had of that. Out
Really?
of 60 eps, everyone's had something that they do.
Uh-huh.
And you're the first.
I mean, you have like the routine of like, I've got to put dirt on my face. I'm going to brush my teeth. Like, so I guess there are things that you sort of do for the show, for hygiene, for the look of the show. But I try not to be like, this is the thing I need to.
Or like a certain route down to stage.
I'm on stage level, so it's quite easy for me. Though I'm always normally
her agent
last.
did a good job.
We've actually got a scoreboard of beginners at the moment, and I'm always like in the bottom 3, which is shameful considering how close I am. Yeah.
What? A scoreboard for who gets to stage?
Yeah, basically we were quite late to beginners, so they gamified it, which for this company is like a red flag to a bull. So yeah, we now have like a beginner of the week.
That is such a good idea.
It's a really good idea.
Wow.
It's really fun.
I love that. Treat us like children.
Yeah.
And you will get
Give
what
us
you
a
want.
toy at the end and we're going to be fine.
Before moving on from Benjamin Button, I've said it, guys, please go and watch it because it's just absolutely magical. How long has it been extended?
It's on like a rolling extension, essentially. So I think they're gauging it on ticket sales, but I think we're sort of always like 8 or 12 weeks.
Okay.
With notice. So that's ongoing, which is great because it was only, I think, originally booking till February.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's very cool.
I love that.
Yeah, it's really great.
What I want to ask is, yes, John as Benjamin, has a really big job, and he does an incredible job, and it's difficult, and they don't use prosthetics, and how he does it with his voice and his face and his body is just mesmerizing.
Yeah, he's phenomenal.
But also, it's a big job for you. I personally think, because I put myself in, okay, how would I attack that or approach that as if I was Clare? And emotionally, it's massive because you watch him, It's like, how do you do it? How do you approach it?
There are lots of parallels I found with Merrily because of the sort of going through the eras of change, and particularly, for John going backwards. I think there are sort of lots of parallels of just like having to just play the present moment as opposed to playing the arc of the story.
Okay.
So I think that's quite helpful, but I don't really, when people ask you that, I'm never quite sure how to answer. I'm like, I don't know, you just
Do you just not overthink it?
I overthink everything. Just really annoying.
Girl.
Also quite problematic with the show, because if you get into overthinking the logic of stuff, it can get in the way of the show. Like actually we've been doing the show sort of 5 months now, and I'm actually finding that at the moment is like I've overthought like, but she knows that he's aging backwards. So then you sort of start to kind of play the undercurrent of stuff, which isn't very helpful to the narrative, because you're like, you things like that, you have to sort of kind of guard, I guess. I think you just, you rehearse stuff and you find connections and you lock into each other and just try and play the truth. Spoiler.
Spoiler. Is it
for silly
heavy?
reason.
I mean, you do die every night.
It's sort of not, because there's something about, Jethro Compton, our brilliant writer and director, he talks about like her leaving her legacy of
Make me cry.
of living in the moment, and that that life is to be lived, and that in a strange way sort of takes the burden off the self-pity or the I don't have much longer left. It becomes about, not only for him but for the audiences, of just going, like we're here for such little time. Her whole song is
I can't talk about stuff like this because it's so emotional.
yeah, it is heavy, but it's also the lightest, it's happy
light.
sad.
It's happy sad.
Yeah, and I think my job is to be the happy and not the sad. And I think sometimes, it's easy to tiptoe into the sad even. But I think it's important, to be in that place of hope and try and leave the message of this is sad and people do die, but like, look what it leaves you with.
Yeah.
Look at the memories you have and look at the journeys and lessons you've learned from them.
Well, whatever you did that night and however you approach it, it's perfect.
Thank you,
Literally
darling.
perfect.
Thanks, Sam. That's so generous.
Now let's go all the way back.
Oh God. Okay.
Where did you train?
So
Masters.
Yeah. I trained. So there were 7 of us in my year.
I'm sorry, what?
So it was in the second year of Masters being set up. It was set up by 2 women, Angela Orport and the most astonishing human called Wendy Hedford, who I still call Miss Wendy. She was like my second mum. I had a little bit of a tricky childhood. At one point, I went and lived with her for a little bit.
Oh, wow.
But she basically gave me free lessons, which was sort of a saviour for me, to be honest. But they both had sort of rival dance schools, and they set up this college together, originally way back when. And it was predominantly a dance college, like looking back on it. Sort of Performers was kind of the rival college of that sort of area. But it was essentially, when I look back on my training, it was sort of 85-90% dance.
Wow.
And our singing lessons were, I think we got like 15 minutes every 2 weeks in a group class. And our drama classes were like, it was very early days of Masters.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's what they do now. And actually neither of those women are part of it anymore. And it's moved on to different hands and become, something else. But back in the day, it was small. It was essentially like a grown up sort of dance school. So I didn't really train as a singer. I don't ever sort of class myself as having trained, but I did, I learned so much about humaning and about performing as a sort of a general old school, and I think that sort of has carried me through. And you learn on the job, don't you?
You do. You learn the most on the job.
Yeah.
And then your first job, I feel like you couldn't have been in a harder situation because you were in Saturday Night Fever in Germany.
Yeah.
In German.
Yeah.
I bow down to people who have done shows in Germany because that is hard, Claire.
Well, the songs were in English.
Oh.
The dialogue was German, so I did have to learn German for that. But the songs were Saturday Night Fever, so obviously they already knew them all.
But difficult. You're learning on the job. It's your first professional job. You have to do it in another language.
Yeah.
Did you think, what have I signed up for?
It's so lovely going down memory lane because you don't really sort of look back. You always look forward, don't you?
Yeah.
And it's really nice to kind of just reflect. So I left, I was 18. It's my first job at 18. Well, sort of first job. I did a couple of jobs when I was still training at Westcliff-on-Sea where, I did 2 jobs there. So my first job was Carousel at the Palace Theatre on Westcliff-on-Sea. And I worked with Sophie Louise Dan.
Oh my gosh.
And Annette Yeoh and Rosie Ash. Like, I had no idea who these people were at that age. I was like 17, you know. Anyway.
How did you get that opportunity?
I don't really remember. It was just, I think they were just like looking for local.
Like ensemble
ensemble,
girls?
yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So anyway, went to Germany at 18. And it was incredible. Like, I remember, she's still like one of my best mates. Sarah O'Gleavy was, who's now like a big hotshot Broadway choreographer.
Love that.
Yeah, she's incredible. But she, like, I lived with her when I went over there. But I remember her like teaching me how to do eye makeup because I'd like never learn. You know, she was like literally teaching me how to do stuff. Like, it was such a, it was really cute.
Wholesome thing.
I know, it was really cute. She also took me to an Origins because I like had orange makeup at the time, and she was like, "We need to sort this out because this is not working.
We need to colour match.
We need to do something with your face." Yeah, so she was a big influence on me. But I'd never done like partner work. And Saturday Night Fever, if you know that show, like
it's massive.
It's huge, yeah. And doing all those lifts and stuff was utterly terrifying, but really great. Like,
and just thrown in at the deep end.
Yeah, quite literally.
Yeah,
there's so many throwing.
And then West End debut was the Far Pavilions.
Incorrect, Amber. We Will Rock You.
I have got that down.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. We
Will Rock You?
Yeah.
In what theatre?
Dominion, second year.
Your West End debut was at the Dominion?
Yeah.
Casual.
But isn't that always the case? Because they're always quite big theatres, aren't they?
No, my debut was in the Savoy.
That's pretty fancy, though.
But it's not the Dominion, darling.
Yeah, that's true. But it's fancier.
So it was We Will Rock You.
Yeah.
And did you love it?
I loved it. It was, I covered Meat. And like, you've heard me sing now. Like, a rock voice I do not have. And I was on all the time because a brilliant Jenna Lee James was covering both parts. So Hannah was actually off quite a lot. She had some vocal stuff going on. And Kerry Ellis, when Kerry was on holiday and stuff like that, Jenna would often be on for Hannah. So I would often be on for Meat, like quite a lot more than a sort of second cover should be, really.
Okay.
And it sort of got to the end of that job. And Tony, the resident, he was just such a lovely man. But he sort of called me in and he was like, "Claire, we really want you to stay on, but we're going to take your cover away." And I was a bit like, I understand, but also like completely broke my confidence vocally because I was a bit like, and then I still had like 2 months left of the job and I was still going on and I was like, "You think I'm shit? Like, why am I doing this?" It was really awful. So that was like, I mean, it honestly still haunts me. Like, it like, when you say like, you know, did you consciously leave musicals? A lot of it was to do with that I was a bit like, God, there are people that do this better and I can't compete.
But that is one tiny role do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
In a world of so many other roles.
Yeah,
you know,
and so many different genres.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I literally have down here, when I looked at your CV and I was doing research on you last night, the array of genres, like you've covered everything in your career. You know, I was like, what can't she do?
Oh, well, I don't think I'm special. I just, like, as I said earlier, I think I've just had opportunities. You know, I think it often takes people to be sort of quite brave and get you in, getting in the door is, you know, so hard for so many people.
I just think there is a lesson from everything in life.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
so I feel like that situation that happened to you is awful and terrible, and like I'm so sorry that happened to you, but there is a greater purpose to it.
Yeah, totally.
You know what
and
I mean?
also like it isn't like, it's not like a terrible thing. Like the terrible thing actually was how much I let it dominate me, you know, and how much I allowed it to knock my self-confidence. But
Which
actually,
is human, Claire.
Yeah,
it
totally.
would do it to
yeah.
everyone.
Yeah. But I think we also, we focus so much on success and like, if I didn't get that part and therefore it means I'm a failure. And, as you get older, you just learn like that's the lesson. Like the success is failing and learning from it and coming back. And actually,
guys, that was a really good tip. What you just said.
Listen, it's a Jay Shetty thing. If you listen to him, he's
Jay.
Amazing.
I'm obsessed
but
with Jay.
That's our failures are when we learn, and that's how we grow, and that's how we kind of go, I could have known those lyrics better in that audition. I should have done a bit more prep on that accent. Whatever. But it's when we go away and go, there might be a reason I didn't get it, which has nothing to do with me. That can also be the job. But you can also be like, okay, well, how can I better prep?
I love that. Preach, preach, preach.
Yeah.
I only have 5 minutes left with Clare, so I just want to quickly mention other stuff that she's done. Chicago UK tour, Avenue Q, as you mentioned, and it got an Olivier nom for Best Ensemble.
We won, actually, I think.
You won?
I think so, yeah. It might have been the last year it was Best Ensemble category.
I was going to say,
where
has that gone?
I know, it was really cool. It was also a really fucking great night because it was back when you like sat and had like a dinner. So we were like,
chic.
It was really chic, and people like got up and performed, and we were like, lovely meal.
Wow.
Yeah, it was really fun.
I love that.
Yeah.
You mentioned Finding Neverland, Crazy for You, Merrily We Roll Along, Guys and Dolls in Chichester. Plays, Travesties, Olivier nom, Best Supporting Actress.
Yeah, really cool.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a really cool moment.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you walk around and be like, I've been nominated for an Olivier?
I honestly was I did not, it's like sometimes you're a bit like, oh, this might be something that happens. Like that's a thought that can creep in. It did not enter my head. Like it wasn't really, when Tom was really sweet about it. Like when I went into work that day, he was like, this sort of like made me feel $1 million, because he was like, this on paper isn't like an Olivier nominated part, but like the fact that you have one
made it.
Yeah. And I was a bit like, that's really
Did you win?
special. I didn't win.
You
Nova
didn't?
won,
Oh, okay.
which, she's a hero. So,
But that is epic. The fact you made it an Olivier worthy nomination. Like,
yeah, first West End play. Like it was a real, special
I got
thing.
goosebumps.
Yeah, it was really cool.
Well, fully deserved. And then Zara in Consent.
Yeah.
When do you feel like your breakthrough happened in the musical theatre industry?
Ooh, probably Avenue Q.
Yeah.
But again, like really interesting. I was offered my cover originally, and the brilliant Annette McLaughlin was offered my role. And I remember having I cried on the phone to my then agent, because I was a bit like, I have to turn it down. I was like, I don't want to cover anymore. And this breaks my heart, because I really wanted to. I was, at the time, everyone wanted to do that show. I was so gunning for it, but I was like, I can't do it. And I turned it down, and Annette turned it down. And then they came back to me and offered me Annette's role. And that's how that worked out.
Wow.
Yeah.
I wonder why Annette turned it down. Is that just a mystery we'll never know?
I don't know, actually. I think I spoke to her briefly about it. Probably similar reason. I think she wanted Kate. And,
Wow.
So it's funny how those things sort of work out. And yeah, Jason Moore, he's since become a lovely, lovely friend. Apparently said, I don't care, get her. Don't know what you have to do, but get her.
Wow.
Which was really cool.
I love that.
Yeah.
And then the last thing I just want to touch base on is, because we're a musical theatre podcast, but I do want to touch base on the bridge that you've created yourself from live theatre to telly. You've worked with broadcasters like ITV, BBC, Netflix, ABC, Paramount Plus.
Yeah.
The last question I want to ask you before I ask you on Patreon the listeners' questions is, where did you begin when going into that world? Was there a route that you took? Did you take acting classes, or was it just like you had a good agent and he could get you in the room for? Because I feel like musical theatre performers think it's not possible. There's a massive gap between musical theatre and television. You're actually, Clare, one of the only few that started in musical theatre and it's very like an equal balanced playing field for you. We see a lot of people going to telly and then coming to us. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I feel like there's a bit of a stigma in the television world.
Yeah, there is. I think it's really hard. I honestly think it comes back, I think, to what I said at the beginning of just going, I think it's just luck. You know, if you've done the prep and, you know, there's a bit of talent and you can go in a room and go, I can make my mark on this, and you happen to land that thing at that time. And then once, we all know this, once you've got one telly job, it's easier to get the second. Once you've got two, it's easier to get four. Once you've got four, it's, you know, it
like
really...
trust.
Yeah, I think so. And also, you know, from a producer perspective, I guess just going, okay, that's someone who is established now in that world. But I don't really... I mean, my first ever telly was Casualty. I think the other thing that's really difficult is a lot of those beginner things like Casualty and the Bill, like that's where a lot of people learn
Their foundation.
Yeah, they get to kind of go and ask the questions and understand like hitting a mark and, you know, sort of very basic things. And I think unfortunately, you know, there's less of those things now. But the Bill was a real like learning curve for me to be, you know, every day on a TV set and ask those questions and, you know, ask about. I think the other thing as well now is that I think self-tapes are one very great thing about doing self-tapes is we're learning more about that art form just because it's in our homes. So we get to kind of line up and see what the frame is, and we get to watch our work, and we get to, you know, fix the lighting and see, you know, how we're coming across and if our intention is reading and stuff like that. So I think that's actually something that's really positive about that. Yeah. But the downside is, of course, now they can see so many people.
I know.
That sort of makes it even harder.
All is massive.
Yeah.
Well, guys, thank you so much for listening. And if you want to hear Claire answering a few of your questions, head over and sign up to our Patreon right now.